Your brain recoils from discomfort the way your hand pulls back from fire. Instant, automatic, no negotiation. And somewhere along the way, you made a quiet pact with yourself. I'll do it later. Later became tomorrow. Tomorrow became next week. And now, you're standing in the wreckage of 1,000 abandoned starts, wondering why you can't just push through like everyone else seems to. Here's what nobody tells you. The people who accomplish things aren't bulletproof. They just learn to endure what breaks other people, silently, without the drama, without waiting to feel ready. And by the end of this video, you'll understand how to train your brain to tolerate the very things it's wired to escape, not through force, through something quieter, something stronger. Your brain has one job: keep you alive. For thousands of years, that meant avoiding discomfort at all costs because discomfort meant danger. The cold meant hypothermia. Hunger meant starvation. Pain meant death. So your brain built an alarm system. Anything uncomfortable triggers the same neural pathways as actual threats. The problem? We're not running from predators anymore. We're running from uncomfortable conversations, from difficult projects, from our own potential. Your brain can't tell the difference between a difficult task and a hungry lion. Both feel like danger. Both get the same response. Avoid, delay, escape. And here's where it gets insidious. Every time you bail on yourself, you're training your brain that you can't be trusted. You're teaching your nervous system that discomfort is unbearable. Over time, avoidance stops being a behavior. It becomes your identity. I'm just not disciplined. I'm not that kind of person. These aren't truths. They're stories your brain tells you to justify the pattern you've been practicing. And the cost? It's the slow erosion of self-respect, the quiet knowledge that you've been lying to yourself, the growing gap between who you are and who you know you could be. Every abandoned start is a small betrayal, and your brain keeps score. But here's the truth that changes everything. The resistance you feel isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. The ancient monks understood something most people miss. They didn't conquer pain. They befriended it. They sat with it. They let it teach them. And here's what neuroscience now confirms. Your brain physically rewires based on what you practice tolerating. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of escaping it, you're literally building new neural pathways. You're teaching your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, that this thing you're doing isn't actually dangerous. Over time, what once felt unbearable becomes manageable, then familiar, then easy. This is the architecture of endurance. Discomfort leads to acceptance. Acceptance leads to adaptation. Adaptation leads to mastery. But most people never get past the first step because they're trying to build willpower when what they actually need is tolerance. Willpower is a muscle that fatigues. Tolerance is a capacity that expands. The first cold shower is torture. The 20th is just Tuesday. Your brain didn't become tougher. It became more familiar with the sensation. The silent warrior doesn't announce his training. He just shows up, again and again, in the quiet, when nobody's watching. Because endurance isn't a performance, it's a practice. And the practice begins with seeing what you've been blind to. Your brain is an escape artist, a master of disguise. It doesn't say, let's avoid this forever. Instead, it offers you perfectly reasonable alternatives. Let's just research this a bit more first. Let's clean the workspace so we can focus better. Suddenly, you're 3 hours deep into organizing your digital files instead of actually doing the work. And the genius of it? It all feels productive. Your brain has convinced you that preparation is the same as action. This is the delay tactic, and it's running in the background of your mind right now. The key is catching it in real time. Name it, out loud if you have to. This is avoidance. I'm about to distract myself. Why does this work? Because naming the pattern activates your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain. It creates a gap between the impulse and the action. In that gap, you have choice. Try this. The next time you're about to start something difficult, pause for 3 seconds, just 3. Notice the resistance rising. Notice your brain offering you alternatives. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just see it. That's step 1. Witnessing the pattern you've been running unconsciously for years. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But awareness alone won't save you. You need something deeper. You need a method. What's the one thing you keep avoiding that? if you finally faced it, would change everything? Not someday. Not when you feel ready. Right now. What is it? The conversation you need to have. The project you need to start. The habit you need to build. I know you know what it is. You've been carrying it like a stone in your chest. So, here's what I want you to do. Down in the comments, type these 4 words. I'm ready to face, and then complete the sentence. Be honest, be specific, because your honesty might be the permission someone else needs to face their own truth. We're not doing this alone. So, go ahead, type it now. I'm ready to face. Now, let's talk about how you actually do this. The ancient principle is simple. You don't dive into freezing water, you wade in, slowly. The same applies to the things you're avoiding. You don't need to tackle the entire project today. You need 5 minutes. 5 real minutes where you actually engage with the thing you've been running from. Why does this work? Because your brain has a threat detection threshold. Big tasks trigger the alarm. They feel overwhelming. Your amygdala floods your system with stress hormones. But small tasks, they fly under the radar. 5 minutes doesn't register as a threat. And here's the secret. Once you start, momentum takes over. Your brain releases dopamine just for making progress, not for completing the task, just for starting. Shrink the first step until your brain stops screaming. Need to write? Open the document, that's it. Need to work out? Put on your shoes. Make the entry point so ridiculously easy that resistance has nothing to grip. Because the hardest part isn't doing the work. It's crossing the threshold from not doing to doing. Even if you only do 5 minutes, you've won. Because you've taught your brain that you can be trusted, and that trust compounds over time into something unbreakable. But here's what nobody warns you about. Even small steps require a still mind, and your mind isn't still. It's a hurricane, a constant storm of notifications, thoughts, anxieties, and distractions. You can't build endurance in chaos. This is why stillness isn't optional, it's foundational. 5 minutes of nothing, no phone, no music, no podcast, just you and silence. Sit with it. Let your brain scream, let it beg for stimulation. Don't give in. When your mind is constantly stimulated, it never develops the capacity to sit with discomfort. And if it can't sit with boredom, it definitely can't sit with the discomfort of hard work. Stillness lowers cortisol, your stress hormone. It strengthens your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for impulse control and decision-making. A calmer brain sees hard tasks as puzzles to solve, not threats to avoid. The ancient warrior sharpened his blade before battle. You sharpen your mind in stillness, 5 minutes a day. That's the price of mental sovereignty. Now you're ready. Your mind is clear. Your threshold is low. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They start the work, but they don't actually do the work because their attention is scattered across 17 different things. Email open in one tab, messages in another, phone within arm's reach. They're physically present but mentally absent. Here's the truth. Attention is your only real currency. One task, one block of time, full presence. This is where legends are made. 30 minutes, that's your fortress. Inside that fortress, only one thing exists. The task in front of you. No tab switching, no quick checks. Because every switch costs you. It costs energy, it costs focus, and most importantly, it costs self-trust. When you protect your attention like it's sacred, when you do what you said you'd do for the time you said you'd do it, you're building something most people never develop, self-trust. The deep knowing that when you make a promise to yourself, you keep it. And that trust becomes the foundation for everything else. Discipline, consistency, endurance. But let's be honest, you're going to want to rush this. You're going to do it for 3 days and expect to be transformed. And when you don't see immediate results, you're going to conclude it doesn't work. This is where most people break. Not because the method failed, because their patience did. Endurance is the long game. You can't screenshot your neural pathways rewiring. The growth is invisible for weeks, sometimes months. And then one day, you notice something. The thing that used to terrify you doesn't anymore. The task you used to avoid for weeks, you just do, without drama, without negotiation. You've become someone different, not because you had a breakthrough, Because you stayed consistent long enough for the compound effect to kick in. You're not making deposits in a savings account. You're planting seeds in frozen ground. For a long time, nothing happens. But under the surface, roots are spreading. And when the season changes, everything blooms at once. That's how transformation works. Slowly, then suddenly. This is what you're building. Not motivation, not willpower, but tolerance, resilience, the capacity to endure what breaks other people. And that capacity develops in the daily practice. The unglamorous repetition of showing up when you don't feel like it, again and again, until the hard thing isn't hard anymore. It's just what you do. You're not training your brain to suffer. You're training it to trust itself, to know that it can survive discomfort, that it doesn't need to escape every time things get hard. And when your brain finally learns that lesson, everything changes. Not because the world got easier, because you got stronger. The silent ones, the ones who endure without announcing it, without needing validation, without quitting when it stops being fun, they inherit everything the loud ones abandon. Because while everyone else is chasing motivation and waiting to feel ready, they're just doing the work, day after day, in the quiet, building something real. Your resistance isn't the enemy, it's the curriculum. Every time you feel that pull to avoid, to delay, to distract, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads back to comfort, back to who you've always been. The other path leads through discomfort, through the fire. And on the other side, someone who doesn't flinch when others fold, someone who keeps their word to themselves, someone who endures. Strength isn't in never feeling discomfort, it's in not running from it. So if this resonated, hit that like button, subscribe for more content on building silent strength. And remember, the work is waiting, and so are you.